of little rumors coming out of the White House about dysfunction within Kamala Harris's team, how, she's not doing particularly well in the job, how we know that there have been staffers who have been fleeing her office like rats off a sinking ship. This is very consistent with throughout her career. She's had this problem holding on to staffers. There have been rumors about how, she doesn't like to prepare, and then when she doesn't do well, she gets really angry at the staffers, even though they put the briefing book in front of her. She just was not really willing to engage with it. So there's a new book that is coming out from two well-sourced New York Times reporters, Jonathan Martin and Alexander Burns. And they have some inside details about what Maggie Haberman described as open warfare between the Biden people in the White House and the Kamala people in the White House. We've got a few of those details for you. Let's start with this one. Put this tweet up on the screen. So apparently, reportedly, some of Harris's advisors believed the president's almost entirely white inner circle did not show the vice president the respect she deserved. Harris worried that Biden's staff looked down on her, and she fixated on real and perceived snubs. So sounds like she's got a real chip on her shoulder, and her staffers are sort of channeling that as well. And so the same sort of rhetoric that we hear applied to the American people of like any of her failings is not really her fault. It's the fault of the American people. They're too racist. They're too sexist. Apparently, they think the same thing about the Biden White House staffers. The man who picked you and elevated you to be vice president, you think the same thing about those people as well.
Oh, this woman is a complete and total narcissist. Some of the stuff that is in here is just unbelievable. My personal favorite one within that, Krystal, is that she sent her top aide to the White House deputy chief of staff to convey her displeasure that White House staff was not standing up in the room when Harris entered, and took it as a sign of disrespect. Okay, let me tell you something. As a White House correspondent, I was in the room with Mike Pence on several of occasions, and nobody stood up for the guy because he's not the president. The standard is you stand up when the president enters the room in the White House. You're not the president. So this lady is a complete narcissist. I mean, the other particular one that stuck in my craw here was the discussion around Anna Wintour. And I love this because we'll all remember that Kamala was on the front page of like Vogue, and Anna Wintour photographed her and apparently ended up using a photo, which was her wearing sneakers. And the vice president and her team and her online mob implied that this was sexist and it didn't make her look as powerful as they wanted. And they actually Vogue caved and ended up replacing the photo on their digital edition. But she saw it as a major snub against her by the cultural zeitgeist. And she apparently was upset with the Biden White House top staff, who had not yet entered but were, beginning to assume the presidency, that they were not backing her up in her feud with Anna Wintour.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the top aides were like, just so you know, the president's dealing with January 6th, a pandemic, global economic crisis, and maybe you should just tone down your little snap with Anna Wintour because we have way bigger shit to deal with.
Yes.
And it just shows you the size of her ego. I mean, she really is Selena Meyer from Veep. There is no better parallel. A total, just untalented politician foisted upon all of us who is a power-obsessed narcissist. It really is just pathetic to see somebody like this.
Put D3, guys, up on the screen because this is about the Anna Wintour piece that you're talking about. They say Kamala Harris felt, quote, wounded and belittled by the photo that Vogue chose for her February 2021 cover. Here's what they say, and this again comes from the same book and was, I think, initially reported by Politico. They say, she asked aides, would Vogue depict another world leader this way? Incoming chief of staff, Tina Flournoy, was, quote, caught off guard by the anger in Harris's circle and contacted a senior Biden campaign official. Given the country's myriad crises and the recent January 6th riot at the Capitol, the Biden advisor told Flournoy that this was not the time to be going to war with Vogue over a comparatively trivial aesthetic issue. Tina, the advisor, said, "These are first world problems," according to the excerpt. I really do think it's very revealing, because put yourself back in that time period and the level of crisis that the country was in. As you said, the nation was still in shock over the events of January 6th. This is literally the next month after January 6th, when we're all still going like, what the hell just happened here? You still have, it's very early days of vaccines being rolled out. This was before you or I or many millions more of Americans had an opportunity to get a vaccine. There was a high priority put on how do we roll these things out? How do we get shots into arms as quickly as we possibly can? There was a lot of economic pain and suffering. This is before they actually passed the Relief Act and are able to get those next series of checks out the door and the sort of final economic stimulus to patch up what was done, not that they've totally recovered, during the coronavirus collapse. So all of this is going on, and what you care about is your freaking Vogue cover? I mean, this tells you everything about this person who we know from the campaign, was changing campaign slogans with the seasons, as one of her staffers famously said, was like having a conference call to figure out what her core values should be. Obviously, they never came to any real conclusion, because her core values here are on how she looks on a Vogue cover. And by the way, it's interesting too, because I also think this is revealing. Anna Wintour said she personally selected the photo of Kamala in the sneakers, which was definitely she's wearing like a business suit and something that looks like Chuck Taylor's or something like that, low-top sneakers. And so it is a little bit more of like an approachable kind of image for her. And the one she liked was the less authentic, sort of traditional, glossy campaign-style photo that they ultimately, used on the digital publication or something like that, or swapped it out from. So she wanted the less authentic one. That was what she ultimately was going for. She was like, this one over here almost makes me look like a normal human being, and that is not what I want.
Yeah. Also, you're not a world leader. You're the vice president. You're senior staff at best. Accept your role. Like, know your place. This is the thing that drives me nuts. You have to earn respect. You were not elected. Exactly. You were not elected to be president. If you are, then fine. But guess what? You didn't. And she wants to present herself on the same stage as like a Michelle Obama, who also was a first lady, last time I checked, or Angela Merkel. Angela Merkel actually got elected. So you would have to do one of those things in order to make that happen. I just see a total, it's just confirmation. Everything that we know about her is true. She's an untalented politician. She barely knows how to string a sentence together in a coherent way, especially whenever she's under pressure, or she embarrasses us on the international stage when she goes abroad to Poland, or whenever she went down to the Central America Northern Triangle. On almost every single occasion, she's incompetent at what she does, and yet demands respect and subservience from all of us. If I was in the room with her, I wouldn't stand up. There's no way. I don't think people should.
You don't demand respect, no matter who you are. Even if you are the president of the United States, you have to earn it. And she believes that the fact that it's not just like automatically given to her has nothing to do with her. It has to do with the failures of the people around her. The Biden team, they ultimately get what they deserve, because they're the ones who made this choice, even though to anyone who was watching events unfold and watching her performance on the campaign trail and watching her career trajectory and watching the lack of response from voters, none of this is a surprise. There's one last piece, tidbit from the book that is also very revealing. This is from the Politico Playbook write-up. They also say the book documents the frustration over Harris's policy portfolio. Some of these leaks had come out before that we had talked about, Saagar. And they say at one point her staff floated the possibility of the vice president overseeing relations with the Nordic countries, a low-risk diplomatic assignment that might have helped Harris get adjusted to the international stage in welcoming venues like Oslo and Copenhagen. White House aides rejected the idea and privately mocked it. More irritating to Biden aides was when they learned the vice president wanted to plan a major speech to outline her view of foreign policy. Biden aides vetoed the idea. Imagine the gall to think that you can, you don't have a foreign policy view, clearly.
Yeah.
We know
Nobody
that,
cares.
Right? You're going to do this big personal foreign policy speech. You're the vice president. It's your job to carry on the policy of the president. That's what you're there to do.
Yeah, Snap too. I don't understand. You know, it's funny. Even Lyndon Johnson, who had a colossal ego, they sent him all over the globe on these BS foreign trips because that's what you do whenever you're the vice president. You don't get to give speeches about who you are. If you want, you can run, and I think we all know how that's going to go. But look, she demands respect from us, Krystal, even though she doesn't deserve it, and it's going to be very fun to watch her crash and burn on the world stage.
And if you don't give it to her, it's about you and your failings, not about her.
Hey guys, we're going to be totally upfront with you. This is the most perilous time that we have ever operated in.
It is so difficult just to try to sort through the news, but even more importantly, to bring you accurate information as this wave of lockdown and censorship spreads across the nation.
Yeah, look, if you can become a premium subscriber today at breakingpoints.com, you're going to help us build out a vibrant, independent media ecosystem which is free of mainstream pressure. We can't tell you how important that is at a time like this.
Yep, that's right. Go to breakingpoints.com to subscribe. We love you guys and we appreciate you so much.